Love you, man. Hopefully it comes out.
Welcome to our 22nd annual gala. I'd like for everyone to please rise for the national anthem and Hatikva, led by our lab and middle school students. Thank you so much. You guys are great. Good evening. I'm Andrew Harris, and for the past 3 years, I've had the honor of serving this community as the president of the board of Kohelet Yeshiva. I am particularly excited to be welcoming you to our first in-person gala in 2 years. It's so great to see so many old friends and new faces come together. And we also have a number of distinguished Rabbanim from across the community joining us this evening. And it's also very nice to see State Representative Mary Jo Daley here this evening as well. Thank you so much. Over the past 2 years, we've navigated a pandemic together. We've experienced losses in our Kohelet family. Yet during these challenging times, we also witnessed the beauty and unity of our community. We would not be here this evening but for your partnership, your commitment, and your resilience. You, the Kohelet community, are our source of strength, and you are why we continue to grow. To our parents, you entrust us to educate and nurture your precious children each and every day. And in our time of greatest needs, you stepped up to support our students and our teachers, from sponsoring lunches for our faculty to stepping in to help in the classrooms when we just didn't have enough teachers during COVID. We thank you for the many ways you have supported and continue to support us. And to our teachers, wow, 2 years ago, we honored you at our gala. And we are just as grateful for your dedication today as we were back then. In fact, can everyone here please give a huge round of applause for our You guys are true heroes. Through the ups and downs, growth and change, you have been here every day, transmitting our Masorah, introducing our students to history and great writing, and connecting them to the wonders of Hashem's creation through science and math, and so much more. Our children are constantly growing academically, socially, and religiously, thanks to you. One of our school's greatest strengths is our dynamic leadership team. It sets the standards of excellence across the institution. To our veteran, Mrs. Trudler, and to our latest additions, Rabbi Stein and Mr. Jaffe, your warmth, your professionalism, and your passion for Jewish education shines through in our daily interactions and in the work that you do to carry our institution through these challenging times and beyond. Thank you guys so much. To our incredible alumni, you continue to make us all so proud as you show the world what it means to be B'nai and B'not Torah in seminary, yeshiva, in the IDF, in college and beyond. It fills us with joy to see you become leaders of your communities, build proud Jewish families, and enrich the world with your thoughtfulness and dedication to Klal Yisrael. This year we celebrated some pretty incredible milestones. Thanks to the tireless efforts of our PTSO, led by Mackenzie Cohn, families found numerous ways to give back to the school and create new memories together. It was a great year. Thank you so much. In K-8, we relaunched our clubs program. It included Mishmar, cooking, and running, just to name a few. But these clubs introduced students to a variety of new skills and interests outside of the classroom. It was really great. Our revamped high school Mishmar program has become a highlight of the week as this Beit Midrash becomes filled with the sounds of Limud Torah. We hosted Kohack, okay? This is the first ever National Yeshiva Coding Hackathon. I saw it was pretty cool and a lot to be proud of. Our team came in, I think, second place in that. It was pretty great. These are just a few examples of our exceptional new and revamped programming. It should therefore come as no surprise that enrollment for next year is up in each of our 3 divisions and that we are almost out of classroom space. Tonight is an important night. It's when we raise the much-needed scholarship money to make the Kohelet experience accessible to as many students as possible. Thanks to you, our donors, we have surpassed every financial goal that we had set. And I'm even more proud to announce that we received over 245 individual donations. That is an unprecedented level of participation in our work. Although each of tonight's honorees will be singled out for proper recognition later in the program, I do want to take a moment to address David and Deborah Magerman. UCI support the school in so many ways. It's really become difficult to encapsulate in words how much you mean to this institution. It's particularly special to be recognizing you both tonight so that we can share our Hakarat Tov publicly. And thank you for everything you've done for Kohelet and for the greater Jewish community at large. Thank you guys so much. Finally, I want to give thanks to Hashem for giving us all the tremendous bracha of being here together tonight. May we all continue to grow and celebrate as a school community for years to come. Each year at Gala, one of our students is asked to give a Devar Torah. Tonight, I am delighted to call upon Sydney Magerman to share some Divrei Torah.
In order to understand what is so great about Kohelet for me and my fellow students, I want to take a moment to look at one of the most painful moments of failure that Moshe experienced as a leader of the Jewish people. From this episode, we can learn something about how to succeed as a leader and teacher. In this week's Parsha, Parsha Beha'alotcha, Moshe despairs of his ability to lead the people, proclaiming to Hashem, "I did not give birth to them. I cannot be expected to nurse them and care for them." Sforno explains why Moshe is having such trouble leading the people. A good parent is successful in caring for their kids, even when they are really different from one another, because all of their children know they love them and have their best interests at heart. In Moshe's case, Bnei Israel did not trust Moshe in this way. They kept testing him to see if he really cared about them. This idea can be applied to the teachers here at Kohelet. They are so successful in teaching us, not only in school subjects, but in life skills, because we have the relationship of trust and wholeheartedness. The students at Kohelet are really different from one another. We are different in our family backgrounds, our personalities, our strengths, talents, and our challenges. But all of us know that our teachers care about us and have our best interests in mind. I found that even in the subjects that are not my strongest, my teachers care about my success and help me grow. Unlike Moshe's difficulty parenting with the Jewish people, my parents have done an amazing job raising me, my sister, and my brothers. They have also been role models of giving to the community, and I wish them a mazel tov on their award tonight. Mrs. Bonagorio was my biology teacher last year. She really exemplifies this notion of caring about the well-being of every student and truly deserves the award she is receiving tonight. Earlier in Sefer Bamidbar, Aaron's children are listed as being the descendants of Aaron and Moshe. Rashi teaches us that this is because someone who teaches another person is considered like the person's child. All of us students at Kohelet are the children of Kohelet, the school we love and appreciate for teaching us and helping us grow.
Eshikoch Sydney on those beautiful Divrei Torah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Noam Stein. I'm the high school principal. I'm just coming down to completing my first year here in Kohelet, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be celebrating that milestone at the first in-person gala in 2 years, especially with such amazing honorees. Mazel tov, Deborah and David, and Tamar and Josh, and thank you for everything you've done for our community. When Mrs. Trudler, together with our administration teams, Rabbi Walensky, Mrs. Twersky, Ms. Black, Rabbi Horn, and Dr. Sullivan, have to pick the Teacher of the Year award, it's very difficult for us, because every single teacher, K through 12, does so many wonderful things for our kids day in and day out. Every teacher, learning specialist, assistant, coach, office manager, nurse, security guard, and facilities staff member contributes so much together to creating the wonderful environment of the Kohelet Yeshiva. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of them, and if we can once more give a round of applause to the entire faculty and staff. But when we do have to pick, we think about the different ways that teachers make a difference. Some teachers are organized and efficient and provide a safe and predictable environment in their classroom home for their students. And other teachers are creative and out-of-the-box thinkers, leading our kids to exciting and new things to try. Some teachers are demanding with high standards, pushing our kids to new heights. And other teachers are warm and loving, giving each child a hand as they take one step forward. Some teachers are erudite and learned, scholarly, and with a deep understanding of their subject matter. And other teachers are funny and silly and make learning joyous and fun every day. There are very few teachers, like Julia Buonagario, who manage to be all of these things at the same time. These things which seem on the face of it to be in certain ways contradictory, somehow Mrs. Buonagario manages to be all of those things to our students. And because of that, I'm so happy to call upon Mrs. Julia Buonagario to receive the Teacher of the Year award tonight. The artwork which you're receiving says, Lilmo Lalame, learn in order to teach. Julia, you are always learning, and you use your learning to teach others, and I've been privileged this year to learn so much from you. Mazel tov on this very much.
All right, so when I found out I'd be speaking here tonight, my first thought was complete and utter panic. So naturally, I sought out the advice of one of my most trusted advisors at school, Sarah Kalish, who, if you don't know, is my school counselor. I expressed my utter terror to her, and she said to me, there's a saying, words which emanate from the heart enter the heart. Turns out, after consulting a few of the rabbis in school, I found out the origins from the quote are from a very similar saying. Kamayim hapanim lepanim, kain lev ha'adam la'adam. As water reflecting the face is to the face, so a man's heart is to his heart. Meaning, the human heart intuits emotions of others. And so if one speaks with an open heart, the heart of the listener will also be open. So today, I take the advice of Sarah and will speak to you from my heart, which is something I don't do often if you ask any member of my family. So most people who know me would say I live my life as a perfectionist, both for the better and for the worst. This personality trait has allowed me to flourish in many ways as a teacher, but has also pushed me to my breaking point in others. I spent the first few years of my career in public school working tirelessly to teach 150 students every year. As my students earned top scores on AP exams and were accepted into the top universities, I felt an immense sense of pride knowing I had a small part in that journey. But although my students were finding academic success, I was feeling unfulfilled in my position, as is often the case when striving for perfection. A few years into my career, my husband and I made the move from Virginia to Philadelphia. One epically failed teaching position in Germantown. Remember the whole downside of being a perfectionist? And many random connections from a Jewish community later, I ended up taking a position filling in for a teacher who was on maternity leave at Kohelet. I was immediately drawn in. So many aspects of the school reminded me of my childhood education at the Silver Academy in Harrisburg. There were surface level similarities, like seeing rabbis walk around the school building, coming across a book and not knowing if it was in Hebrew or in English. It brought me back to my childhood. Within a few weeks, I realized there were much more thoughtful similarities among the two institutions. Witnessing student-teacher relationships that were deeper than the content students were learning, small classes that allowed teachers to meet individual student needs, and an entire grade of students being friends with one another, even though their differences were noteworthy. So many of these things reminded me of my childhood education. It was in my middle school years that I truly began to love science, mostly because I had the most amazing science teacher, Mrs. Gahn. Back then, I was kind of a weird kid, still kind of am, that didn't really fit in, but Mrs. Gahn didn't really care about any of that. She made me feel welcomed, included, and made science come alive to me. I have vivid memories still of collecting and identifying leaves using dichotomous keys, caring for our class hamster, and creating an atomic model of my most favorite element, carbon, in case you're wondering. My first year at Kohelet was a learning process, trying to figure out how I could create a similar feeling for my students. I wanted them to love science just as much as I did. So I used to teach science based on state standards that existed in the public school system. But I felt like it lacked the imagination and creativity that so many other teachers at Kohelet showcased. I felt like I was falling short on a daily basis because they set such a high bar. I remember looking at my chemistry class my first year, and they were just staring blankly back at me as I was trying to explain what the structure of an atom was. I thought to myself in that day that I had to make a change. I didn't want my students staring off into space with not a real connection to science. At the end of the first year, I went to my department chair, Diane Weintraub, and expressed that I wanted to throw out my public school biology curriculum out the door and totally rethink the way I taught biology. To me, the curriculum lacked a sense of connection and catalyst for students to think deeply about the material. It was a random assortment of science facts I was asking them to memorize. I wanted to design units that centered around the characteristics of life, not the chapters in a textbook. I drew this massive concept map on my whiteboard and explained my thinking to her. We learned on that day that the two of us had very different approaches to writing a curriculum, but nonetheless, she gave me a go-ahead. So between that first reconstruction of the biology course and now, so many more opportunities have presented themselves that have allowed me to build new learning experiences. In the classroom, I've had the chance to reinvent my chemistry curriculum and develop 2 new science courses. Outside the classroom, as part of the students' activities team, I've developed my ability to understand and appreciate student voice and prioritize goals from various perspectives. I've learned how to help my students, your children, grow as people, not just as science students. These opportunities would have never come about in other schools, and I think my students have benefited immensely from it. It allows them to see connections, build on ideas, consistently use content vocabulary, and understand why we're learning what we're learning. We're learning what allows an organism to be alive, the actual definition of biology. Every year my classes evolve, but what stays the same is my incessant desire to provide a safe and caring environment for my students to learn and grow. To me, it's no longer about the test scores in colleges that my kids are accepted to. It's the people they become, their growth as human beings. Just as they have helped me grow into the person I am today, I'm fully invested in the adults they will become in the future. I am so grateful to my supervisors, colleagues, and students at Kohelet who have helped and encouraged me in my professional and personal growth. I'm additionally so thankful to my parents, Mark and Maggie, my siblings, Josh and Rachel, and my most amazing husband, John, who continually support me in everything I do. I care deeply about science, and I care deeply about my students. I think that these characteristics are what set Mrs. Gahn apart for me as a student. I hope these same characteristics are what I can emanate to my students on a daily basis. I want to provide my students the same educational experience that made me fall in love with science so many years ago. The perfectionist in me tells me I have a very long way to go, but the realist in me knows I've come a very long way.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Becky Trugler. I'm the principal of the K-8 It's an honor to be here tonight. Finishing my 7th year, building this amazing school that I feel such deep, deep pride for, and the team that we get to build it with. Being an adult is a little bit like a juggling act. You know, we all know it, right? Every adult here knows that this is true. We're constantly juggling those balls up in the air, figuring out which ones are we going to catch, which ones are going to let drop on the floor, which ones can we throw to someone else to catch for us, and hoping that the wrong ones don't land on the floor and that we strategically place some on the table to allow for new ones to be caught. very lucky that I can call Josh and Samar, our Young Leadership Award recipients. I have a front row seat to watching their adult juggling act. I watch them catch their professional balls in one hand. They are unbelievable doctors who have rigorous work lives and who are experts in their fields. That's one ball. Then I get to watch this amazing other ball be caught, which is their children. One of them is one of my daughter's closest friends, so I really have a front row seat. And then I get to see Gabby and Uri and all of everyone just growing up and like what that means for every single one of your children being caught the right way. And then I get to also know, because we dive in the same shul, just how many balls you catch when they're thrown at you to help our community. And then on top of that, you know, the Kohelet issue of balls, whether it's the STEM programming that you have contributed to, whether it's the education committee, or honestly the thing that sometimes I value the most, which is just like loving critical feedback. And you're my biggest cheerleaders, you're our school's biggest cheerleaders. But it's not easy. What makes you role models and what makes you deserving of the award here tonight is that you've mastered that catching, right? You've mastered the ability to catch the balls that need to be caught because we're constantly throwing them at you. It's not us, for sure your children are throwing them at you, right? So you find a way to catch them, putting the important ones on the table that can't be unfortunately held at that moment, maybe giving another one to somebody else if needed, but somehow managing to not just drop things on the floor and letting things go. You've taken such responsibility in every area of your life, especially our school, just deeply building and investing in our school. So it brings me a lot of joy and a lot of honor to give you this beautiful Birkat Habayis and recognize you as young leaders of our community, of our Kohelet community. Thank you. We hope that this is a reminder of a beautiful bracha for your home, that you continue to build a home and a family and a marriage and children that continue to have the ability to catch all of those balls and keep giving back to everyone who needs it. Thank you.
Thank you, that was so sweet. Baruch Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'yanu l'zman hazeh. Amen. It's really so great to be here, and we are really humbled and honored. 3 years ago, on our last family trip to Israel, we spent a day shopping in Yerushalayim. We gave each kid a budget to spend on meaningful souvenirs as we moved through the standard spots. Rehov Ben Yehuda, Nea She'arim, which included a stop at Uri's Pizza, Machne Yehuda. It was a strategy we highly recommend, especially for those of you with young children, as it kept the whining and incessant "I wants" to a minimum. Seema spent the day searching for and finding a Chamsa necklace. Uri wanted to buy a Sefer Torah. Gabby, just 4 at the time, wanted Playmobiles. She searched high and low for them. 3 kids, 3 very different approaches to what and how they're connected to our Holy Land. This is what our Kohelet education is all about. All our children are unique and have their own unique ways to engaging and connecting with the world around them. As our children demonstrated on that hot summer day, so too has Kohelet done in its creation and building of the lab school. So thank you. There are so many people deserving of thanks and honor. We are honored to be joined here today by our parents, all of whom worked so hard and gave us so much to provide us an upbringing that has allowed us to achieve everything that we have. So, Seema, Uri, Gabby, Livy, who's hopefully home asleep right now. You are our pride and joy, our reason for being. And it's very easy to say, without you, we would not be here today. Since Rabbi Pearl first approached us about this honor, the school has had the opportunity to honor many individuals far more deserving than us, including Rabbi Pearl himself. Rabbi Pearl is a visionary in Jewish education, and we are so fortunate to have been the beneficiaries of his vision. At the same time, a vision is nothing without someone to make that vision a reality. Mrs. Truver, you have built a warm and loving home for education, a school where children come to learn every day and are excited, where children love their teachers and the teachers love our children. The school is a testament to your abilities as an educator and leader, and we are forever grateful that you chose to trade Bergen County for Bala Tuiri, where are you? Elliot, I have not seen you this evening. I know I saw Israel here, but do you read Elliot and Brenda, our incredible medical advisory committee, and Nurse Jessica? The school was built, you kept our children in it, and while keeping them safe. All at the same time, we're working real jobs, serving on the front lines of the pandemic. Extra special thank you to Reed. For those who don't know, Reed not only serving as a pediatrician at CHOP and on the medical advisory committee, was also our shotgun. And so it's also very safe to say to the teaching and administrative staff, from the day Seema first walked into that one-room schoolhouse down Montgomery Avenue, you have cared for our children as if they were your own. Meeting each of them where they are and helping them get to where they each need to be, you are incredible partners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mrs. B, we haven't gotten such a chance to know each other yet. Seema's still 3 years away from high school. But as you spoke about your own science teacher, I also know how much I was influenced by my science teacher when I was in high school and how much of an influence he had on my life. And so you too clearly are an inspiration to your students, and the world needs more teachers like you. I tried to come up with a fun science pun to show our appreciation, but I couldn't find one that would get a good reaction. Finally, David and Deborah. Your generosity is matched only by your passion for creating and sustaining the institutions we need to grow as a community and Jewish people. In this week's Haftarah, we conclude the reading from Zechariah. V'otziat Even Harosha Teshuot Chen Chen La. And he will bring forth the excellent stone, and they will proclaim, beautiful, it is beautiful. You have provided us with that stone, some might say a brick. We have filled it with children, and now we all proclaim, beautiful. This is beautiful.
We ask that you please turn your attention to the screens for a video presentation.
To have the privilege and opportunity to build a school from the bottom up with so much support that I believe in deeply religiously and educationally has been an opportunity of a lifetime.
One of the things that's most exciting about working at Kohelet is all of the tools and resources that we have to teach kids in the best possible way. And we have so many of those things due to the direct generosity of Deborah and David.
David has got this vision of putting every Jewish child into a Jewish institution.
When I first met David, I was amazed at what he wanted to accomplish.
I grew up in South Miami, kind of a lower middle class neighborhood. My father was a taxi driver, my mother was a secretary. There were a lot of Jewish values in the house, but it wasn't a particularly observant home.
I grew up in a home that was slightly more observant than David's home. I grew up in a kosher home, and Jewish traditions were much more important to my family than I think to David's family.
From an early age, my parents made it clear that a great way to achieve things in life and to rise up from above the situation we were in financially was to get a good education and to work hard, study hard. Around 2004, 2005, I started getting concerned about what the meaning of life was and how I was going to convey that to my children, and was searching kind of spiritually, I guess. Around the same time, our family was invited to Israel for my cousin's son's bar mitzvah. We'd have all these conversations that they were around the table, and they'd all be talking about Torah, and I felt very desiring to be connected to this kind of life, but very separate from it. So when we got back to America, I got matched up with a chavrusa, with a learning partner, and so I started going to the morning minyan and putting on tefillin and davening after I got back from Israel.
They embody what it means to constantly be growing and seeking in your connection with God and Torah.
David is someone who's committed his life to doing the right thing. He understands that he carries the responsibility to make sure that the needs of the Jewish community are there.
Part of my mission was to make sure that every parent had a school that they could send their kids to that would match up with what they wanted for their children. And so that was the beginnings of the Kohelet Foundation.
And he wanted to unite the schools so that our similarities were greater than our differences. And I believe he accomplished all of that.
And if you look at the landscape of our community today, you can see the impact everywhere.
Being a part of a thriving, growing community and seeing all the parts of the community growing and being successful. And we really feel blessed to have been a part of it.
David Magerman obligates us all to do more, to stretch beyond our comfort zone, whether it's to be more generous, to be more selfless, to be more open-minded, to study more Torah, to help others not feel like an outsider, or to use whatever blessings we were given and maximize them for the betterment of the Jewish community.
As the new high school principal, what I get to see is Kohelet as it is today. And one of the things that I see most directly is David and Deborah's kids. So passionate about learning and growing and developing as Jews right here in our school today. And that speaks volumes for the messages that they're getting at home from Deborah and David.
David and Deborah, I want to wish you such a big mazel tov on this honor.
The Jewish community needs you, and the Jewish community applauds you.
May you go from strength to strength and have tremendous nachas from your entire family.
Mazel tov, David and Deborah, on this well-deserved honor. Thank you for everything you've done to help Kohelet.
Good evening, and the dark clothes is all to my family. Years ago, as the newly elected president of our school, I attended a meeting at the Jewish Federation. I noticed the cast of usual characters, most of us dressed rather formally, jackets, ties, kind of like, the standard uniform. And then there was this guy, looking very comfortable in blue jeans and a plaid shirt. I knew something was up. That was the first day I met David Magerman, and it certainly would not be the last. A short time later, I invited David to visit our school when it was founded and located in Northeast Philadelphia as Stern Hebrew High School, to learn more about us, and of course, maybe somewhere down the line, ask David and Deborah to help us. I had no inkling of what was about to transpire, but before we even entered the building, David asked me straight out if we were interested in moving to and caring for this recently vacated campus in Marion. I might have hesitated a moment as I was stunned, shocked, surprised, elated, so many thoughts swirling around my head. I had only been president for 4 months and was not expecting something like this, but in what may have been the longest split second of my life, I said, yes, absolutely yes. I won't bore you with all the fine details, but it took time to develop a plan for renovation. There were endless zoning board hearings, meetings with expensive architects, and David and Deborah magnanimously covered this through the Kohelet Foundation. We held town meetings for Deborah and David to get to know our community and for the community to get to know them. There were fabulous Super Bowl parties at their home. Always the most gracious and generous hosts. We slowly got to know each other and in time earned our mutual respect and admiration. And finally, 1 year later, the construction crew moved in, renovating this historic structure, this fixture in the Lower Merion community, now in our hands to develop and take care of and fill with students. A dream come true. September 2010, opening day, one of the proudest days of my life. As I drove down Old Lancaster Road, I saw young men and women, many of whom I recognized, our kids, with kippot and skirts, backpacks, descending on the school. Not just one or two, but groups of young high school students about to start the next chapter for them and for us. We held davening in the gym because there was no Beit Midrash yet. But this would become the centerpiece of the overall renovation. We learned from the Torah that opening day. David had an aliyah, and we danced and sang, and finally David affixed the first mezuzah on this building. In my eyes, it was beyond magical, and little did anyone know what was still to come. A few months later, we invited the entire community to our Chanukah Bayit, where they saw this beautifully renovated building and got the opportunity to sit and learn in its classrooms with an array of gifted teachers. This awesome Beit Midrash was completed less than a year later, and it is breathtaking. A place to daven, to learn, to gather. Rabbi Sachs, Zichron Livracha, visited our school for several years to share and impart his wisdom, all thanks to David and Deborah and the Kohelet Foundation. But David and Deborah and their children were just beginning our collective journey together. Toward the end of Sefer Kohelet, we learned, in the morning sow your seed, and in the evening, do not withhold your hand, for you cannot know which will succeed, this one or that one, or whether both of them will be equally good. David and Deborah, you never withheld your hand. The lab school was conceived and born. Another incredible building sprouted up to house and fulfill this ambitious and innovative program. Annual support and a major endowment beyond anything anyone has ever witnessed in the greater Philadelphia day school community was bestowed by David and Deborah to incentivize and ensure the sustainability of Kohelet Yeshiva. And indeed, because of your gifts, we continue to grow and blossom along with the greater Jewish community, which is booming. Today, even more expansion is on the horizon. Is there ever an end? I hope and pray not. So, when I was asked to present this award to David and Deborah, there was no hesitation on my part. Yes, yes, yes. It would be my highest honor and privilege to stand here in our magnificent Kohelet home that was acquired and built with so much care and support to thank you. David and Deborah, you have been our ultimate partners. Partners in Torah, for sure. Partners in education at all levels. Partners in our children, students, and our alumni. Partners in building our collective Jewish future. You inspire us with your vision and your actions, which speak beyond all words. We are forever grateful and appreciative of the magnitude, diversity, and impact of your generous contributions and support. We have all been so blessed, and may you and your family, your precious family, continue to be blessed with Hashem's gifts.
Amen. Wow. It's great to see everyone here. It's so beautiful to see so many parts of the community represented, coming together to celebrate what we've accomplished here at the school. And I say we, everyone here has contributed so much to bringing us to this point that we can celebrate Kohelet Yeshiva in this way. So Deborah and I feel so honored and blessed to be the honorees of Kohelet's 22nd annual gala. And congratulations to the other honorees, Josh and Tamar and Mrs. Nagario. Your honors are so well deserved. I'm taking a big risk tonight. Deborah has a strongly held belief that honorees that have videos should not speak, since they spoke on the video. So I'm treading on thin ice here. Nonetheless, I want to say a few words. I want to thank so many people for working with us over the years to achieve what we have at Kohelet Yeshiva. First and foremost, the Stern and Selig families. They deserve enormous credit for helping to create and sustain Stern Hebrew High School before I even knew it existed. Holly Cohen, of course, who helped steer the Kohelet Foundation for so many years and helped oversee so many projects at Kohelet Yeshiva. Lester Lipschitz, who has been my guide through the intricacies of Lower Merion Jewish community. I appreciate that. Diane Fenner, who led the board of Kohelet Yeshiva through some very trying times, some of them caused by me. Rabbi Pearl, who did such incredible work developing the educational philosophies behind the Yeshiva Lab School. Who has made Kohelet Yeshiva Lab School and Middle School such a resounding success. Maria Gaster, who bailed us out of many there's so many more people, educators, administrators, board members, parents, community members. This school is a success because of all of you, and we appreciate everyone's efforts bringing us to this point. People have asked me how I feel about being the honoree. Initially, I wasn't sure how to answer. After a lot of thought, I came to the conclusion that I mainly feel three things: blessed, commanded, and grateful. I feel blessed that Deborah and I have resources to play the role that we have played in the growth of Kohelet Yeshiva and the growth of the Lower Merion Orthodox community. I've worked hard over the years, no question, but no harder than many others. And Hashem has blessed us with outsized resources to devote to projects like Kohelet Yeshiva. And we are really blessed for that. With those blessings, I feel commanded. I feel commanded by Hashem to use the financial resources He's given me, along with the values and wisdom I've gained from Torah, to do important and necessary things for my community, for Israel, and for the Jewish people. Deborah and I have far more than we need. And while we do nice things for our family, for sure, I feel commanded to use what we have to help spread Torah and support Torah observance. But mostly I feel gratitude. Gratitude to Deborah for being patient with me and tolerating the boondoggles I undertake. Gratitude to the community for getting past some of my early missteps and embracing me and my family. Gratitude to the educators of Kohelet Yeshiva for providing a strong Torah and secular education for my children and my friends' children. So, some people have joked to me that I'm homeschooling my kids. I'm doing it here with everybody else. So thank you for everyone for participating in that. And most of all, gratitude to Hashem for giving me the opportunity and responsibility to do all the things He commands me, from the most basic mitzvahs to creating kosher restaurants to building Jewish day schools. So I've been watching the school grow over the past few years, and I hate to be a downer, but we've got a serious problem here. We're full. The school is realizes, the high school students certainly do, that next year the 4th and 5th grade will be taking over the mansion and Hogwarts, and because there's no room for them in their own building. The K-8 is full, is overfull, and the 4th and 5th are being bumped over to the high school. So the reality is that we aren't done building. We need to create more room to teach the kids that will be coming to Kohelet in the years to come. So I've been, believe it or not, occasionally I get consulted by the board and been talking about what we're going to do about this, how we're going to solve this problem. And the best answer they've come up with together is to build an extension to the current classroom wing and add more classrooms to the school. So that project will cost a lot of money, beyond the money Deborah and I have already committed to the school. And there's another reality that when you add more kids to the school, you need a larger endowment. You need more funds to sustain the school as well. And so our 10-year plan that involved the school being filled to capacity, now if we're increasing the capacity, we need to increase the fundraising for the endowment. So what do? We have to reach out and we need to grow the resources we have. So I know you guys have all contributed really great to this gala and to the school and to the building campaign we just had. Brace yourselves. To jumpstart the fundraising for this project, Deborah and I have agreed to donate $3 million to a new venture capital. We're going to need to raise a lot more to be able to finish the project. I've seen the budget. It's not pretty. But this should be a good start. And we encourage everyone in this room to consider contributing to this effort.
It's not the music. You know that.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why we're here.
Our family, the Selkson family, will match your $3 million.
Wow.
We've come this far, we've got to see it through.
We've decided, I'll talk to Deborah later. Really, they'll be okay. That the Selkson family will agree to put another $1 million above the $3 million, and we will put in another $5 million above the $3 million. If the community will match the $1 million in the next 2 years. So. It is such a wonderful problem to have, to need more space to educate kids in Torah. And I think this is something I want to add because I know there are a lot of Black Jews in the room, but there are a lot of people here who live their lives in Torah. And I don't know if you appreciate how wonderful it is later in life to discover Torah and to feel that connection and that purpose and that meaning, and to know, that I feel that the one thing I want to do is spread it. I want to share it, and not just with adults through Kiruv movements, but through children and through the youth, and making sure not just that new people from the outside come to Torah, but the people in the Torah community stay in Torah and keep their observance and go to college and get married and live their lives in Torah. And it's such a mission for me, and such an important part of what I do here and what I do in the community at large, with the philanthropy that we do at the Kohelet Foundation, we do with our family. And I just want to thank everybody here for inspiring me, for embracing the work that we're doing, to being a part of this journey and making this such a success, which just emboldens me and empowers me to do more. So thank you, everyone.
Speechless. Wow, you guys, absolutely tremendous. I think we need a bigger baby Josh, by the way, to stand here. Try to work that into the budget.
We're working on it.
We do have one more video for you. Please turn your attention to the screen.
In the Gemara and Brachot, Ben Zoma tells us of the extraordinary effort that Adam HaRishon had to go through to produce the first loaf of bread. He plowed, he planted, he sowed, he harvested, he threshed, he mixed, he kneaded, and finally, after all of that effort, he produced the first loaf of bread. And we are the beneficiaries of that effort. In our school, what we experience every day, we know is made possible thanks to the innovation, efforts, and vision of those who came before us.
Welcome to Kohelet. Let me show you around. This place is really old. It's been here for like 100 years.
Really? I saw a poster that said it was here since 2010.
Yeah, like I said, really old.
Is that supposed to be open?
No, that's the attic. Weird.
Whoa. There's more here. What's this?
It's a history book about Kohelet. Brick by brick, building a K-12 yeshiva, the Kohelet story.
Kohelet wasn't always Kohelet. Originally it was
Stern Hebrew High School. In early 2000, Jerry and Marilyn Stern met in their living room with other local families to discuss opening a modern Orthodox high school. But what about the Lab and middle schools?
I don't know. Keep reading.
They met in their living room to talk about starting a high school.
Limudei Kodesh and secular studies would be equally rigorous, and girls and boys would have the same educational opportunities. We wanted to build a school that valued modern orthodoxy as a distinct hashkafa, and that would prepare our students for the college, seminary, or yeshiva of their choosing.
A transformative gift from the Kohelet Foundation enabled the school to buy a new property and relocate.
At the time, we wanted to find ways to help the community grow. And the Kohelet Foundation was a way for us to do it in an organized, thoughtful, and intentional way. So in 2010, building on the momentum of Stern Hebrew High School, we bought a building and opened Kohelet Yeshiva High School.
Alongside these renovations, the school constructed a Beit Midrash in 2011.
Then, to bring the vision to life, the Kohelet Foundation recruited Rabbi Dr. Gil Pearl all the way from Memphis.
The Kohelet Foundation brought me to Philadelphia to help grow this school, to take a school that was built upon modern Orthodox values, that aspired toward unparalleled excellence in both general studies and Judaic studies, and to make it soar. While working with the high school, we also began to imagine and define what a yeshiva elementary and middle school might look like if we designed it based on the question of what do we know about how children learn, rather than what do we know about how schools have always operated.
So they founded the Yeshiva Lab School to bring these educational principles to life. In the beginning, it was just a class of 17 kindergarten students.
Today there are over 200 students in the K-8.
I know. They recruited someone that had built a school like this before.
When Rabbi Pearl shared the vision of the school, I knew I had to move my family here to be a part of it.
The Lab School wasn't always here.
We found a place near a dry cleaner that was originally a storefront.
A storefront?
A storefront. It took some imagination to transform it into a school, but it worked.
In the beginning, it was just Michal and me. Starting a new school takes a lot of hard work. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into making it a reality.
Blood, sweat, and tears? Gross.
Everyone has to be willing to do everything.
But beyond the work, you need people who believe in the vision.
You need families that are willing to be pioneers.
You need financial backing to grow.
We saw incredible interest in our program. Enrollment that first year was beyond our imagination. We realized in order to build a vibrant, modern Orthodox community in Philadelphia, we were going to need a K-12 yeshiva.
The schools merged in the summer of 2016. Kohelet Yeshiva High School and Yeshiva Lab School became Kohelet Yeshiva.
They expanded the high school wing to bring the K-2 students on campus, and they started the middle school with 6th and 7th graders on the stage in the gym.
There were big kids and little kids bumping into each other in the hallway, but it kind of felt like home.
I was part of that middle school class on the stage. It was 4 rooms.
Do you know what it's like to try and do projects with basketballs bouncing all day? Incidentally, my shot's pretty good now.
But then over the next 5 years, things really picked up.
We broke ground and completed our K-8 building.
We created a fabrication laboratory in our high school extension.
We graduated our first middle school 8th grade class that went on to matriculate into our high school.
But we didn't just do it ourselves. The community stepped in and stepped up.
Our parents, friends, and community members donated to our endowment to ensure that Kohelet would be here for our children and our children's children.
When we needed a playground, more than 100 people from the community came out to build it.
Even during the pandemic, everyone worked hard to make sure that we would stay open.
When we saw our pioneer kindergarten class reach 5th grade in 2020, Kohelet was complete, a full K-12 yeshiva.
It's incredible to think about how much went into building the school that we have today.
And all the people that were involved in its story.
Oh no, we gotta go.
This is our story, the Kohelet story. Join us in writing the next chapter.
Wow, what a night. Good evening, I'm Lori Salkin. As chair of the Development Committee of Kohelet Yeshiva, it is my job and truly the responsibility of everyone here tonight to not only develop an institution, but to nurture a generation of our precious children. It is a task that requires dreaming impossible dreams and the ferocious tenacity to actualize them. Most often, we struggle and strive and give everything we have and still feel we've come up short. But tonight, these impossible dreams have become reality. Because of all of you fervent dreamers and passionate doers, tonight's gala was our most successful Kohelet gala yet. Together, we raised nearly $500,000 for Kohelet. But that was not enough for our dreamers, the Magerman family and the Seligson family. You have left us all speechless. $12 million for our children, our school. Your immensely generous gift has not just made history, it has created a future. From the bottom of my heart and the hearts of everyone in this room and every single member of the Kohelet community, we thank you. Before we head into dessert, I want to acknowledge a few people without whom tonight would not have been possible. First, I want to thank all the members of the band tonight who are all Kohelet students and alumni. Thank you to my gala co-chairs, Noah and Shindy Lindenberg, Lisa and Lester Lipschitz, Cindy and David Koslop, and of course Leon. Thank you to gala adjunct chairs Nachi Trudler and Melissa Elif. Thank you to my fellow members of the Kohelet Yeshiva Board of Directors, and Diane Zwillenberg and the entire Development Committee, and the Gala Tribute Committee, chaired by Scott and Jamie Seligson, who flew in specially from Israel tonight to present this award and to join us. Thank you to all of our EITC and OSTC donors. Thank you to our staff for the countless hours you have put into this gala, Miriam Gower, Leora Niznik, and Sharon Joshwitz. And to our leadership team, it is truly an honor to serve on the board of your illustrious and innovative school. High school principal Rabbi Noam Stein, Glavin Middle School principal Becky Trudler, and executive director Mr. Alan Jaffe. Thank you again to all our dear honorees, our young leadership honorees, Tamar and Josh Katz, our distinguished faculty honoree, Julia Guanagaro, and of course, our guest of honor, David and Deborah. I want to give a very special thank you to Jerry Stern for his mentorship, guidance, and the countless hours he has given to making tonight possible. And last but not least, thank you to Andrew Paris, our president of the board of directors. I believe Andrew somehow manages to work 25 hours in a day. His unwavering work ethic, enthusiasm, passion, and drive unites and encourages all of us around him to work harder every day towards our common goal. Our sages tell us in the Midrash, Shlosh Ketot Yoshevet B'Tzelel Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kat Gemolei Chasadim, Kat Osei Emunah, Kat Balei Torah. 3 groups sit in the shade of God's presence. Those who deal in loving kindness, those who serve faithfully, and those who support the Torah. Tonight, you have all dealt in everlasting kindness to this community. You have served both Hashem and your fellow man faithfully, and you have introduced the Torah into the hearts and minds of all of our children. May we all continue to dream audacious dreams and have the good fortune, as we have had tonight, to see them all come true. Thank you. Please join us in the dessert in the gym, at Bar